Agreeing to disagree, disagreement without confrontation. When you're having an academic discussion, it's like you're building a house together. You're all working together to create a communal space in which you can discuss ideas and achieve common goals. In academics, we call this space a discourse community. In a discourse community, you collaborate to create a space that's warm and welcoming for everyone. However, there's bound to be disagreement in this process. When you're building a house, you might not agree on the color of the paint, but in a discourse community, disagreements will be over ideas. Disagreement is an essential and healthy part of the discussion process because hearing a diversity of opinions is good for helping us develop and clarify our own ideas. This is what collaboration is all about. However, when people disagree, they may sound or look confrontational, which brings negative emotion to the community. Collaboration builds up, but confrontation tears down. But how can we disagree without getting confrontational? Of course, the answer to this question may vary a little from culture to culture, but because UC Irvine is in the US, we'll examine the issue more from an American cultural perspective. First, present your viewpoint in a logical response backed by evidence or support, instead of a subjective response based purely on emotion. The wrong emotions threaten that warm space of your discourse community. Also, remember, if someone disagrees with you, they're disagreeing with an idea, not with you as a person. If you feel yourself getting confrontational, take a step back, breathe deeply, and try to switch to a more neutral frame of mind. When disagreement occurs, check yourself. Think about both the content of what you want to say, the words you choose, and the way you communicate with your body and voice. Think body, voice, content. Carl and Helen are in class, and their instructor has asked them to discuss which movie genre is most relevant to 21st century audiences, romantic comedies or action films. Helen is a fan of action films, while Carl has a soft spot for romantic comedies. Let's check out their body language as they disagree about romantic comedies. It's pretty confrontational, right? When you're disagreeing, don't enter into the personal space of other people. This is interpreted as aggressive. Also, avoid aggressive hand gestures and check the micro expressions in your face. Those are controlled by the small muscles near your mouth and eyes. This looks a lot better, right? Helen is back in her own space, and Carl has relaxed his facial muscles. Even if Carl is annoyed inside, he isn't showing it on his face. Next, when disagreement occurs, we also need to be aware of our voice. When you're disagreeing with someone, check your intonation. Intonation is the melody or music of your voice. Let's listen to Helen's voice as she disagrees with Carl.
In fact, action movies earn far more money than romantic comedies, Carl.
Her intonation is going up and down wildly. She can fix this by neutralizing her intonation so that it goes up and down in a more natural way, and by lowering her volume.
In fact, action movies earn far more money than romantic comedies, Carl.
Finally, during a disagreement, choose your words wisely.
Everyone loves a good romantic comedy.
You're wrong.
Statements like, "You're wrong," "That's not right," "You can't be serious," and "Oh, come on," will probably be too blunt or sarcastic for most academic settings, unless you're talking to a really close group of friends. With most conversation partners, these words tear down, not build up. How can we replace their confrontational tone with one of collaboration? One way to disagree is to use one of these firm yet polite statements, like, "I'm sorry, but I don't agree." "I don't agree that." "I disagree with you there." Or, "Well, actually." Then you need to back up the statement with concrete evidence. Giving evidence is the best way to show that your disagreement is based on facts and logic, rather than purely on opinion or emotion. Let's listen to the conversation again.
Everyone loves a good romantic comedy.
Well, actually, for at least a decade now, action movies have earned almost 3 times more money at the box office than romantic comedies.
Another way to disagree is to build on your partner's comment before you voice your disagreement. You can do this in two ways: to concede the point and to acknowledge your partner's viewpoint. Conceding a point means that you find something your partner said to agree with before voicing your disagreement. This helps your partner save face in a conversation. You can concede by saying, "Though it's true that," "I agree that, however," or "I see your point, but I can't agree."
Everyone loves a good romantic comedy.
Well, it's true that romantic comedies are popular, but they still don't do as well in the box office as action films. You know, for at least a decade now, action movies have earned almost 3 times more money at the box office than romantic comedies.
Or maybe you don't agree with anything your partner said. You just want to acknowledge that his or her viewpoint is valid. You could say, "That's one way of looking at it, but," or "I understand what you're saying, but." By saying these things, you're creating goodwill and opportunities for future consensus. So let's revisit our main points. When you're in a discussion and you want to disagree, be sure to check your body, voice, and the content of what you say, your words. Ensure that they have a collaborative tone, not a confrontational one. And lastly, I'd like to make one more point. When you're disagreeing in a discussion, you sometimes reach an impasse. That's a point at which you know no further agreement can be reached. It's like a conversational dead end. When this happens, you and your conversation partners just have to agree to disagree and get on with the discussion. Just keep the tone of the conversation collaborative, not confrontational. Remember, we can agree to disagree, but we don't have to be disagreeable.